All right. Hello and welcome back. For real this time. To Tantrums and Tangents, the talk show. Oh gosh. Gotta love when you don't look over at your OBS and notice that there's absolutely no audio coming from your end. It's the best.
It is pretty good.
High quality shit here.
Fuck
But yeah, so we weren't here last week because I had an interview, so I had to prepare for that. But we're back this week. And this week we're going to talk about superheroes. So yeah, Saber, let's sound like a broken record and repeat what we just did.
Right.
So what's your favorite superhero?
So my favorite superhero is Spider-Man.
Sweet.
Because again, I've been absorbing media with Spider-Man in it for the longest, probably. Maybe second to Batman, but still, I'm going with Spidey.
Gotcha. Now I'm a huge Marvel fan and a huge fan of the X-Men, but I have to say one of my favorite heroes is the Batman from Batman and Beyond, who's being tutored by Bruce Wayne. So yeah, he's my favorite, and it's the combination of hand-to-hand combat, the fact that they don't actually have superpowers, they just have gadgets and investigative know-how.
Right.
And of course, my favorite thing is the whole like Batman I'm gonna go interrogate this dude. And then there's like a side camera, and then like, I'll tell you everything! And like, you don't see what he said, but like, there's totally something there that like, obviously like, no mortal man should have to go through.
Right. No, absolutely. You don't want to fuck with the bat.
No.
Like, guy's got a terrible mean streak, and he knows exactly how to make you talk.
Right.
Contrary to his appearance in certain movies, which I will not name.
Actually, that was another question I was gonna ask. Because we can have our favorite superheroes, but who's your favorite portrayed superhero in media? So a little bit different. It's not that like, because there's all the superheroes and they're presented in media, but like there are some that just become so much more badass because they've been in a recent movie.
Right.
Yeah, bulletproof tights. Yeah, there you go too.
Yeah,
right,
I mean,
code.
Well, you can't have the costume get punched full of holes if you can't get punched full of holes.
No.
Especially not if you're a dude. Then you can't have artful tearing because you're a dude.
No, you can
Let's
still
not
have
get into
artful
that.
tearing. It's just for a different audience.
I guess so. Anyways, let's see. So my favorite portrayal of a superhero. Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
I cannot remember her name to save my life. But the actress for Jessica Jones, the Marvel series, is fucking amazing.
Nice. Yeah, she's awesome too.
Now, granted, I don't think Jessica Jones has ever been in anything else.
Really, she doesn't have
But
a
aside from,
comic
like,
book
a-
series?
Well, no. Like she's in comic books and stuff, right? But like she has a single continuity within comic book series as part of like the Defenders, and actually, funnily enough, like the comic book was called The Defenders. It's where Jessica Jones like really showed up. She was already and like Kilgrave, the like bad guy. We'll put aside everything else. Just Kilgrave is like he's a subplot in that comic book. Like the whole Jessica Jones thing is not a primary like thing that happens.
That's weird, yeah, because the Netflix series he was like the main antagonist. But that's interesting. So in her original comic book he was a subplot. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Yep, it is crazy. Especially because they did it so well. Like people knew that was pretty much going to be the plot that went on for Jessica Jones. Yes. The cat up here is Nico. One sec, let me like tilt this up here for
Nico's
us.
quite an acrobat.
Yeah, he's also crazy and an asshole. See how he's like glaring from up there? He's probably gonna start meowing loudly soon, so I may have to mute myself and deal with them.
And they know this. Yes, OMG cats.
Yes, OMG cats. If you really want to see cats, you should go back to our other talk show. We were grown men talking about our cats.
Yeah.
That's full of cats.
It is.
But yeah, and I mean, okay. So let me ask you, Ving.
Yeah.
Aside from Terry McGinnis, who's your favorite Batman under the actual name Batman?
Well, actually, I was kind of gonna go to like who's my favorite portrayed hero recently. Back to the original question.
Yeah.
And I.
Well, okay, fine. Fair enough. I was jumping the gun on the whole Batman thing. But
no,
yeah, go ahead.
To me, all Batmans are cool.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but it would be a very simple question. I like the Batman, and I like the other Batman. I like Batman. He's fucking cool. Nah. Yeah,
fair.
exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like all his portrayals are very interesting, because some are. I mean, gosh, some of them are really goofy. But even then, like, it's the fucking Batmobile's the best.
When you say some of them are really goofy, are you talking Adam West goofy, or
Yes.
are you talking George Clooney goofy?
We don't talk about George Clooney. Anyways, my favorite villain of all time is Penguin.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good villain.
Yeah. I just he's fantastic. It's just he's one of those. He's fallen into the trope so far that he's become it, and I just love the fact that he's totally invested in being this incredibly rich, wearing the tuxedo as both a penguin and, you know, a rich guy. Like, waddles around. It blows my mind how well he just does his thing.
Definitely. Oh God.
But yeah, sorry, I jumped the gun. That's another one.
No, that's cool. I'm into it.
But yeah, we'll go over villains next.
Now I'm trying to think of like villains, right?
Right. I'll give you time. My favorite portrayed superhero as of recent is Quicksilver from Days of Future Past, X-Men.
Okay. All right.
And I mean,
I'm all about.
Right. And I think the coolest thing about him is speedsters get this sort of like pigeonholed personality of like gotta go fast, and like that's all their personality is. Like, high metabolism, I eat a lot, I do a lot of things in a very fast pace, everything bores me because it's not fast enough, that sort of deal.
Right.
But I just think it was so cool to see how Quicksilver sees things in X-Men Days of Future Past, because all of a sudden, like, he starts running and then everything slows down, and then, like, he's just calmly strolling through, like, a full-on firefight. And, like, he's just, like, moving the bullets with his fingers so they don't hit anybody or hit the right people. And it's just so cool to, like, see him in action, because normally, in every other portrayal, you see speedsters and it's a blur, and like you're like, well, what is that like? And then that really gives you this sort of like bird's eye view of like what it is to be a speedster, and it was so cool to see the world slow down around him because he was going so fast.
Yeah. I dig that. That's fair. No, let me see if I can find it real quick. There's a song. There it is. I'm gonna see if I can find it, just so you guys can look it up later. It's by Jim's Big Ego. It's called "The Ballad of Barry Allen."
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's about it's about like the Flash's curse, right? Like he's a superhero, but like he can't live a normal person's life because he's different now. And like there's that whole thing. I love it. It's a great song.
And his is a very interesting thing too, because there's a lot of superheroes that they can fight for good, but they also sort of they do it's like a curse, and it's pretty wild because some of them, they're so powerful it can actually hurt other people if they don't intend it to.
Right.
Or it ends up killing themselves because and Barry Allen's one of those cases where if you go too fast you just don't exist anymore.
Right. Yeah, no, I love that ending. I
forget the science, the pseudoscience technical term for what actually happens to him, but
he moves so fast, like pseudoscience, like superhero bullshit. Barry Allen's speed comes from the Speed Force. The Speed Force, like channels through Barry, and like he can move himself faster based on how much of that energy he can channel through himself. There's an ending to one of the Flashes in a continuity where he runs so fast and that he channels the Speed Force through him so completely that he becomes the Speed Force.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And like that's the thing. The hilarious deal with that is that in that continuity, Barry Allen like moves so fast and becomes the Speed Force that he actually becomes the Speed Force forever. Like he's actually been channeling his own speed since his inception as the Flash, and so has every Flash before and every Flash into the future. Like he's a singularity from which this explosion of Speed Force comes.
Holy shit.
Like there wasn't a Speed Force until this moment in time, but it is so fast that it goes backwards and forwards in time. Because again, crazy pseudoscience superhero bullshit.
Right.
But if there is something that I will give DC credit for, it's the fact that their heroes really feel like heroic and like insanely powerful.
Right.
I'll give them that.
That's some cool shit. Oh gosh, Quo's coming. And then they have freaking runs so fast he gets into an alternate universe stuck in a tiny room with Sonic.
And yeah, similar to that whole like warp into the past from gravity bullshit, right? It's just meant to be entertaining. Like
right.
There's only like a loose connection to actual science in
oh no, of course you have to sort of go a little, you know. I mean, basically all of the X-Men is basically like, oh, all of a sudden everybody started mutating, you know.
Right.
And I mean, the mutations weren't like another toe. It's like, I can shoot lightning.
Right. Also, to be fair with the whole like X-Men thing, like they have this thing where like the legacy of mutants like goes back for thousands of years.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Some of them are like still around, right? Like Logan Wolverine is supposedly a samurai. Like just his regenerative powers have kept him alive since ancient Japan.
That's pretty cool.
And like, right. But the thing is that he didn't start off as being a samurai. He just ended up in Japan after doing something.
That's what you gotta like. You gotta like an extremely like cloudy origin that can just fill in a whole story later on.
Right. And the thing is that like they also did that thing with Wolverine where they were like, he doesn't actually remember some of his past, and like trying to dig some of it up like gives them fodder for future like stuff. Like I have amnesia is a common trope in comic books, and
as well as K-dramas.
Right. Well, and let's not forget daytime soaps.
That's true.
But like no, it's like I have amnesia is a great way to like get something going and have some like juice for later on, right? Like something for your character to remember or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's a thing. So I have a question that's just occurred to me, Vane.
Okay.
Who's the favorite superhero whom you have ever played in a game?
Oh gosh. It's gotta be, well, yeah.
I'm wondering him.
No, it is. Yeah. So,
of course.
Saberwolf and I, we play a lot of tabletop games, and there are certain tabletop games where you can play superheroes. There's ones called Mutants and Masterminds, which is sort of a playoff of D&D, less rules but still has a clunkier system. And then we played one semi-recently, which was called what was it called? Masks.
Yeah, the game was
which
Masks.
is basically like playing as teen versions of superheroes. So a lot of the things have to do with emotions rather than beating up the bad guys.
Yeah, there we go.
And sometimes dealing with your emotions is sometimes worse.
Oh my god, yes. Especially when you're a fucking teenager.
Right. So so yeah, it's some very interesting stuff. But one character, and I have, like, I feel like role players definitely have their favorites when it comes to certain things, and he is one of my favorite, like, characters to bring up whenever I have a chance to. And he's a hero, I'll say in quotes, called Dreadlock. And right, close cone, right. Rolls initiative, gets 1, breakdown, and cries.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Dreadlock is basically has prehensile hair. So if you don't know what that is, that's basically like you can use your hair like tendrils, like vines or tentacles or something like that. Except his are super strength. Like, he has the ability to lift a train with his prehensile hair. Like, that's how strong he is. But like, beyond just his normal superpowers, he's basically the husk of what he once was, because his soul was actually fused and taken away by demons. So he's sort of this soulless creature. Yeah, he walks around on his hair like a four-legged spider.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the things about him that's kind of weird, is he's kind of like weak as a character. Like, for him to fist fight would be a terrible idea, because most of the time he walks around on his hair.
Yeah. We lovingly call it the Herachnid form.
Yeah, the Herachnid, yeah.
The best. He also uses the hair to, like, leap and swing from things and collapse buildings on people, etc.
Yeah. And part of the fact that his soul was taken away sort of leads him to sort of insanity.
Yeah. Dreadlock is in like comic book logic, he's an anti-hero. He's just a terribly tortured person.
Right.
And,
the only reason people can consider him to be good is the fact that I refer to him as a villain slayer.
Right.
And that's the only reason. He's really not out there to help people. He just sort of seeks out evil wherever he can find it and kills it.
Yeah. It's very like Punisher and Spawn in that way. They're not necessarily like, even though like the Punisher and Spawn have like semi-noble aspirations, like they're trying to like right wrongs and stuff. Ultimately they're just killers. Like people killing to get whatever it is that they think is justice or whatever. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Dreadlock is like very villainous in that regard, because he doesn't do it for the greater good. He does it because it's his motivation.
Right. There is a little bit of some time travel fuckery. The fact that he was born in like 1806 as a demon hunter in England, from his father, and that's where the whole demon thing came from.
Yep.
Yes, his name is Dread and Lock, as in like Goldilocks, but he's evil. Right. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. That's basically what it came from. Yeah. But the thing that it makes me excited to play him is the fact that he's so unhinged. I get to play off of basically whatever. So like any recent references to popular culture, like I can deal with like what are cars? What are these beasts roaming around? I found giant spires of steel and glass. You know, there's skyscrapers everywhere, and like it's this weird thing where he knows certain things he shouldn't know, and he doesn't know things he should know.
Right.
And it's this very funny combination of having to deal with this slightly insane person on your team where you have to explain certain things, and then you have to explain to other people what is going on because he's on your team.
Right. Yeah, we've always kind of, or at least you've always kind of played Dreadlock as though he like leans against and sometimes peeks through the fourth wall, right?
Right.
I wouldn't call him chaotic neutral, Ghost. I think of Dreadlock as being just crazy. Like there's not a good D&D like alignment
like,
for what
Dreadpool, right. Like if we looked at the chart of the chaotic, lawful, good evil thing, there'd be like this separate category that comes out of neutral on like a little string, and it has like this little Venn diagram of crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, when you're not playing D&D, like that whole like chaotic and like, or that chaotic and lawful and then like good evil axis thing doesn't actually like, it's not important.
It's a good tool for categorizing certain aspects, but certain characters do not fall in it.
No, definitely, and I would say Dreadlock is one of those.
Yeah, because for me, the way I think of Dreadlock is that he's actually 3 different people, basically.
Right.
There's the demon that has his soul, and that's like the pure evil. Then there's his body, his husk, which is like basically like, I'd say lawful neutral. He's like a demon hunter, or at least was. And then there's the combination of the fact that the 2 are combined into one person, which gives him that sort of like crazy neutral.
Right. Definitely. But yeah, like I think some of the best moments that we've had with Dreadlock, like actually at the table, are the ones where like he's like face to face with his own demon.
Right.
Because those always turn out nuts.
Yeah, because there's a lot of times where you roll badly and like certain things happen, and then basically like the demon takes more influence over the body than the body can the demon, and it becomes a crazy mess for him to clean up afterwards and have to rationalize.
Yeah. Oh, there are so many things.
So who's your favorite character to superhero type character to play?
I've played so many. Let's see. So there's 2 that I've liked playing the most. One of them is a character named Blitz. He is a speedster. He's powered by lightning, somewhat unoriginally. But his actual like his like not masked name, like his real name is and
could you repeat that? It didn't catch on the stream.
Oh yeah, no worries. Which part? Just the name?
Yeah.
So the character's name is Henry Donner. He's just like a kid in high school, basically. I think of him as sort of like the same age as like early Spider-Man. And yeah, he's like somewhat athletic, not particularly popular, and is trying to balance like having school responsibilities and being a superhero, and that's what I like about Blitz. Yeah. He does that thing where when he's running, like time slows down, like so his perception of things is always a little bit skewed whenever he's being a superhero, and like he tends to like have a slight god complex about his ability to run fast.
Mm-hmm. Like time stops for me.
Right, yeah, kind of. It's sort of like that whole like, well, of course I can save the day.
Right.
I'm the fastest guy down. And yeah, he's just got that whole thing going on. I like playing him. He's fun. The other character whom I enjoy playing,
Ginger Man Complex. Oh my gosh. You can't catch the gingerbread man, motherfucker.
You'll never catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. Yeah, like that.
Holy shit. I wouldn't even thought of that as complex, but now I've got a whole new perspective on life.
It was great, actually. Oh my god, the gingerbread man's a speedster.
Okay.
Shit.
Powered by empty carbohydrates and sugar.
And
the power of Christmas!
Yeah, no. Like, Blitz's, like, drawback is that he's, like, since he's, like, electrically powered, he actually has, like, he runs out of juice sometimes. Like, he functions like a battery. So, like, he has to absorb electricity in order to like, actually be able to go fast.
Gotcha.
That's gotten him into trouble several times.
Understandably, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like, who else was I thinking of? There was another character that I had in mind. It doesn't matter. Blitz is the best.
Okay, so I have an alternative question. So that's your favorite superhero you played, right?
Yeah.
If you were to become a superhero tomorrow, what would you be?
I don't know. God. I don't know. Oftentimes I think I'm relatively worthless as a human being. So like that's a tough one. I'd probably want to roll on a random table to figure out what powers I get.
Right. You would just be like, so you have your choice of any superpower that comes to your imagination. I'm gonna roll a dice and see what happens.
You're right.
Maybe that would be your power. Is you don't know what power you have, and you have like this magical dice, and you roll it, and it's got like random odds, and then you got like freaking some sort of heist or like bank robbery, and you're rolling the dice, and then all of a sudden you're like, all right.
For this job. Oh, fat power! Damn it!
Hey, don't mock fat power. Super density is really awesome.
All right.
And bouncing.
No, for real.
Bouncing is a really sweet locomotive for superheroes.
Right. But no, like I guess really, if I'm thinking about like what power I personally would want to have,
right, Crow's code.
God.
You get laser eyes, and then it immediately happens. You don't have any control over it because you've had no practice before, and just set table to a fire and fall through the floor.
Set table to a fire?
Wait, what?
You said set table to a fire, and I was
That's how impressive it is.
Right.
There's a fire, and you actually shoot tables out of your eyes.
Right. But yeah, I think, like, personally, I'd like to have narrative control over reality. Like, just GM my way out of everything.
That'd be so fucking cool. Like, all of a sudden something happens, and you fucking Morgan Freeman your way out of a situation.
Exactly. I just narrate my way through it.
Holy shit.
But, like, so it looks weird because, like, I actually have to, like, say it out loud.
And then it happens, which is also weird, because then everybody else is, like, looking at each other. Like, holy shit,
and he was powerless to dodge my incredibly hard punch. Right.
Freaking A.
But yeah, man, like that's... Yeah, I think that'd be a cool... I think that'd be a cool power to have, especially given my proclivities for, like, liking to talk.
Sweet. So I may or may not have thought about this too much. But yeah.
You know, we will spend our time doing whatever.
Right. So if I was a superhero, I'd be called the Omen. and I would have the ability to turn into a vapor. And basically what I'd do is I would disperse myself as like a large fog cloud, giving me like semi-omnipresence. And then what I'd do is I would like waft into a city and just like hang there for a little while, and then if anything bad happened, I would condense and then like solve whatever crime, but completely based on misdirection. Like tapping a guy on the shoulder and like punching him in the face, or like going na 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 and then like having him shoot at me and it hits the other guy that's on his like robber team or whatever.
Right, because like the bullet just hits your form and like you just disperse into vapor again, right? So.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Plus, I'd be able to fly and do anything, but like I think it'd be a really cool way because I wouldn't need like a police scanner or anything like that. You would just sort of roll into town, and then when the stuff's done, I disperse again, and that fog just rolls along. And then the omen's that's here.
Cool. Yeah.
But then a tornado comes through.
Right.
I mean, it'd basically be like a roller coaster.
That's cool. Just avoid the Midwest.
That's where all the like supervillains would hide if that was the case.
That's cool. I'll go talk them out of it.
Then they realized the taxes were really high in this area, and they had to move their super secret base. They also figured that they should put marquees out. You're tricking them.
Oh, right, of course.
That way the omen can find them.
Lightning flashed across the sky ominously.
Ow! Ow, that was me! His one weakness would probably be any crazy atmospheric stuff, like being frozen or being stuck in a vacuum.
Yeah. Actually, it'd be a really weird thing because like fog is like just a smidge in terms of like temperature away from like turning into frost, and like alternatively is just on the other side of like the temperature scale from like turning into an actual cloud and like falling down to the ground is like dew, right? Like it's that whole like dew point thing, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's.
I'm gonna say that cool. There's some superhero cool, mumbo jumbo that keeps me from like turning into dew and like going into the sewers as liquid, or like freezing and then just like I got sewer all over me.
It's not even like it's all over you; it just is you now. Like you just are sewer until you can get rid of it somehow. Oh, it's gross.
Oh gosh, yeah, right. Coalesce and I'm stuck to a frickin' flagpole. Damn it!
It's just being space in the frost of a window. You gotta hold it in front of the camera for the stream.
Oh my gosh. So he would have weaknesses, but like, I'm pretty sure, I would look up the weather patterns to make sure I wouldn't get screwed over.
Right.
Either that, like, or I'd seek out like I don't know radiation or some sort of mutagen thing, so I become spectral vapor, which is unaffected by space and time or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'd be into that.
Almost phantom-like stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that, like, depending on how, like, far you could, like, disperse your body and how quickly you could, like, reform into, like, your corporeal self, like, it's almost like you have, like, a limited sort of, like, teleportation power, right?
That's true.
Again, super cool.
I mean, yeah, you could take the jet stream and all sorts of stuff.
Right? Fuck yeah. What was I thinking of? I was thinking of...
But yeah, those, I don't know too many, like, vaporous heroes or heroes that can turn into clouds of gas, but, like, those are some common things they have to worry about is atmospheric weather and being stuck in a vacuum is, like, pretty huge for them.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then, of course, there's the totally impenetrable, like, pneumatically sealed defenses that you can't get past.
Right. I just posted a link to this book. It's called, well, the series is called The Reckoners. It's by the author Brandon Sanderson.
Mm-hmm.
The first book is called Steelheart. It's awesome, by the way. It is effectively what happens is there is a meteor that enters Earth's atmosphere and then like locks itself into geosynchronous orbit.
Oh.
Like it flies in like it's going to destroy the Earth, stops, and then suddenly people start getting superpowers.
Oh, like some weird. Oh, that's cool.
Now, like the thing is that there's this kind of notion, and I've used this to sort of describe this book before. In the text, I'm pretty sure it's at the beginning. It's there's like a quote, and it says, "Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely." And there's this kind of notion that people who have superpowers in this novel series just become evil. So like there are no superheroes because people who have powers have no altruism.
Interesting.
Like it's like this metaphorical sacrifice.
Wow, so it's like a hero. It's a superhero dystopia.
Yeah, it absolutely is. The Oh, hey, Ozzy.
Hey, Ozzy. I would refresh. Oh wait, you can't hear anything. That doesn't help. I always love giving full, detailed instructions to people who can't hear me. That's my favorite.
But anyways, yeah. So like the Reckoners are a group of people whom do not have superpowers, who go around assassinating superheroes because they're not super, or they're not heroes. They're just super. It's super cool. Anybody who kind of likes this weird dystopia apocalyptic like thing and also digs superheroes, check it out. Totally worth reading, like 100%.
Sweet.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah. Who's your favorite? Or you already said who your favorite villain was.
Oh yeah, who's your favorite villain?
I still don't know. Probably
there's some really good ones.
Yeah, probably the Joker though. I really like Joker.
Joker's good.
I know it's kind of classic, or cliche to say the Joker, but I don't actually like him because Heath Ledger played the Joker and then died. I like the Joker because he's a really interesting villain.
Right. Again, I like the fact that he sticks to his theme wholeheartedly, kind of like the Penguin does.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I dig. I dig it. I dig it a lot. The only other person who has like a run for my money, in terms of like who my favorite villain is a relatively unknown villain. I guess that's not really fair to say. Anybody who has watched The Watchmen, or who has read the graphic novel will know who I'm talking about. His name is Ozymandias. He is amazing. He professes to be a superhero for basically most of the story, and then at the end does a face heel flip and becomes the villain. And like the thing that sold me on why he's the best villain ever was when he's like having the epic showdown with the heroes and doing his whole thing, and like spoiler alert, at the very, very final thing, like the heroes are like, "We'll never let you get through with this," and he looks at them and says, "Get through with it? Oh, I'm sorry. I completed my master plan 10 minutes ago."
That's some cool shit.
Like, it was perfect. Like, it completely flipped that trope that like had been going on for a very long time. The book was written in the 80s, so like villains who had waited until the very last moment to like execute their plan had been happening in comic books for close to 40 years.
Oh yeah, gotcha. And then the hero always comes to stop because they of course waited last minute.
Of course, you waited until the last minute so you could gloat. and so that you could have your big moment, and so you could look at the anguish on their face as you pressed the big red button that made it go. But Ozzy wasn't in for it. It wasn't like there for any of that. He was literally just in it because he had a vision of the future, and he wasn't going to let the heroes like fuck that up for him. So like he saw them approaching his base, he executed his final plan, they showed up, and then he got to tell them what he did.
You gotta like a well-organized supervillain.
I do.
They're the really ones that always come back because they always have a nice escape plan, even if they always give like a plan B and plan C in case they're thwarted. Like, gosh, and Lex don't Luthor. Offer a lot of clues. That's another huge thing.
No, right. Lex Luthor's that way. Some incarnations of the Joker are that way, but really mostly it's just like crazy randomness from him.
He has a resume of completed villainous plans, easy hire.
right. I mean, you got to get into that hero. You got to get into that villain league somehow, right?
right. Exactly. Yeah. Man, I would love to see like some actual like sort of like artist rendered like applications of villainy from like certain villains, and like just see how like the Joker would like have an application, or like some other villains. I know his would basically be written in crown and have stickers all over it, but at the same time, it would be pretty impressive.
I think you're thinking of Harley's resume.
That's also true.
But, like, I think Joker would be really relying on the interview to get him in.
That's true, right. I feel bad for the interviewer, because he's got to be... There's probably some horrible gases and pheromones and all kinds of things that they're trying to do to get the job, because of course they're not doing it fairly.
No, of course not. It's so good.
Oh my gosh.
So this might be
evil villain interview.
Oh yeah, man.
I feel like that could be like a really hilarious like 2-player role-playing game where the GM plays the interviewer and you have to play the supervillain. And the idea is to get the job, and you as the GM have to give them questions that are supposed to trip them up.
Right. I mean, you'd have to like figure out, unless you were just doing it just to like for the sake of like having the like the role playing experience, right? There'd have to be a way to sort of like win. Like, I don't know how you would score that win condition though.
Right.
I believe your camera has gone out of focus.
Oh.
Oh, it's back. We got it. But yeah, nah, man. Like,
I mean, not that the camera quality is that great, but that's still.
Well, yeah. But it's only worse when it's fuzzy.
Right. We call it the extra soft.
So say what?
The extra soft.
Oh, right.
When it's out of focus and fuzzy.
Oh God. Yeah. So I have to ask, and I don't know if this is like too next level for this discussion, but who's your favorite like rogues gallery? Like, which hero has the best suite of villains that you know of?
Oh, shit.
And no cheating by saying like the Justice League or the Avengers, because they just get everybody's.
I was gonna say what do they call them? It's not the it's when they form an actual thing. It's not the Justice League, but it's the Injustice League or some shit.
Yeah,
like they couldn't have come up with a better fucking thing, even though like half of them are filled with like level 12 intellectuals or some shit.
Right.
But I mean, there's the whole Magneto scene. That's actually pretty fucking cool too.
Yeah.
Where he's basically like, we can create a utopia by wiping man off the planet and having mutants rule again. And like, all of his dudes are pretty cool too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Magneto's like honestly a really great villain just because of like how like completely he buys into his own bullshit.
Right.
Like, just that whole like, like mutants are perfect. We don't need man. Man is only holding us back, and because of their fear, like they're actively detrimental to our existence. We have to destroy them so that we can live. Like, how more awesome can you get as a villain?
Right. And it's one of these awesome. Weird things where, like, as the series progresses, or you just sort of watch more and more videos or read more comics, at some points you kind of have to agree with them on certain things. Like, it's not like the humans are going to stop persecuting mutants. So, like, it's almost like...
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what makes him such a great villain, because, like, honestly... You're just looking at him and going, like, do you really think Xavier's got it right, or do you think maybe Magneto's got it going on, right? Like, right. Like, which side of this argument is actually the right way to go, given what you know about, like, people?
Right.
Like,
because Xavier's thing is like, right? Basically like, all coexistence, right? But, like...
Yeah, exactly.
Gosh, it is damn hard to actually get away with that.
Right. Like
it's Xavier a really great idea, but, like, holy shit, is it really hard to try to convince humans that, like, that mutant that's on fire over there isn't gonna hurt you.
Isn't gonna hurt you and isn't bad because they're different.
Right.
Like, teaching people to not be afraid of mutants is ultimately like the struggle that the X-Men face, right? It's just unfortunate that they have to keep, like, destroying buildings and, you know, giant machinations and, like, you know, showing up at the places where Magneto is, like, fucking shit up.
Yeah. And hey, Ozzy Qual, how's it going? Good to see you. I'm glad it works now. But yeah, I'll share one thing as sort of our last question before I move on to Darkest Dungeon.
Right.
But I'm gonna go with the sort of topic of, like, your favorite time or, like, story arc in any comic book or superhero like franchise. And my favorite one is in the X-Men, when they created something called the Sentinels, which were giant mutant-seeking robots that were trying to eradicate them from the Earth.
Yeah.
Now, technically, they've been in a film before, but those were the highly advanced ones. The original giant, like, 12-story clunky robot ones were the fucking coolest. I liked those ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. I think the best, like, hero storyline that I know of is actually self-contained in a graphic novel. It's called My Kingdom Come. It's about Superman and the Justice League. And what happens is Superman quits.
And thank you for the follow, Thunder Bucky T. Thank you.
Awesome. But yeah, Superman quits being a superhero. He just, like, retires and goes to live in Kansas, basically. Mm-hmm. Even though he's not actually living in Kansas, he's actually in the Fortress of Solitude. He's just pretending that he's living in Kansas on a farm, because that's what he wants to do when he retires.
Right.
So anyways, that whole thing happens. Massive amounts of, like, superheroes and supervillains are like just out fighting each other because they don't actually have anything better to do.
Right.
And there's somebody who has like he's a superhero. He has, like, nuclear powers, and he accidentally supernovas in the middle of Kansas and, like, ruins the bread belt.
Wow.
Yeah. And then Superman, like, gets brought out of retirement by Wonder Woman to help put humanity at ease. But what Superman actually does is rules the Earth with an iron fist.
Oh shit.
And he makes deals with people. He, like, goes and plays no backsies with supervillains everywhere. Like, he, like, eliminates weapons of mass destruction from the planet. And, like, anybody who he finds out are, like, secretly working on that, he shows up and ruins their shit. Like, he, like, Oh,
Superman is sick of your shit is basically the story arc.
Yeah, effectively. Superman is sick of your shit. And that's that. Like, what is the world like when Superman is suddenly the dictator of Earth?
Right.
And it's like way more dystopian than you think it's gonna be. Like, it's not good. Yeah, no, read My Kingdom Come. It's awesome.
That's pretty wild.
One of the best graphic novels. So that's that.
That's also a cool thing when heroes go bad.
Yeah, that is good. I'm waiting to see it happen in our Masks game with Terraform. I'm certain that she's not going to stay good for a whole lot longer. She's just about at the breaking point.
Friggin' A.
It's gonna be so good. I mean, because of that whole emotional like Fallout thing, right? Like she spends her basically the entire game just constantly on the edge of like all this emotion.
Yeah, Masks is pretty. It'll drive your character pretty nuts.
It's good. It's good. I love it. It's a great game. But yeah. Any honorable mentions before we go?
I think we could possibly do like a Superheroes Part 2.
Okay. Yeah.
But like just in general, like some of my sort of favorites, like some other honorable mentions are Colossus from the X-Men. Really cool. He's got that whole super density, turns to metal, can survive radiation, all that sort of like super like resistances. Really cool.
Well, yeah. Definitely. And I don't know. I think honorable mention from my side is probably just straight up Captain America. Like we haven't mentioned him at all, but he's like a fucking bamf. So
right. That's pretty cool too.
Right. But yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, we might do a Superheroes Part 2 at some point. But yeah, I think next week, unless something else catches my fancy, we'll probably continue our sort of topics about certain D&D classes.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, it is funny that you said a fucking bamf because you're actually saying a fucking badass motherfucker.
Right.
The fuck is kind of redundant, but okay.
But also with reference to comic books, bamf.
Bamf, right. Exactly.
But yeah, man, like we were thinking about talking about wizards maybe, right?
Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, wizards might be a cool thing to talk about next time.
Don't hold us to that, chat. We reserve the right to change our minds.
That's true. We do a lot. All right, cool. So yeah, I'm gonna switch over to Darkest Dungeon and continue our sort of look at the new content with Crimson Court.
Woo!
So yeah, I'm just gonna turn on the title screen, switch the title, and be back in just a second. So yeah, see you in a bit.
See you guys.